Travel and Things in association with Sun Destinations, iconic destinations with amazing experiences, present In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and seeing it's that time of the year, I'm joined once again by Rico. His brand new compilation, together with Stephen Francis, is just out. There's a blue light at the end of the tunnel. Rico, good morning. Welcome to you.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. They're writing your headlines for you once again, aren't they?
I've been doing it for 30 years. I wish we had less headlines to work with. It'd actually be a calmer life, I guess.
You know, going through, we'll come back to the cartoons in a moment, going through the cartoons in this new annual, which, here it is, and it is published by...
I also have a copy.
Okay, but is your copy signed? That's what I want to know.
That would be weird if I signed my own copies for myself.
Why not? I'm just trying to find who published this.
Jacana.
Jacana, thank you. Sorry, yes. Jacana. Sorry, published by Jacana. Where would you be? You know, people say, oh, they write your headlines and they give you material for the cartoon. But there's still many a slip betwixt, because it's easier, you know, to say, oh, load shedding again. But it's not that easy to come up consistently with stuff that makes people guffaw, rather than going, yeah, you're just riding that load shedding pony, and perhaps you're part of the problem because you want there to be load shedding so that you can write about it or draw about it.
Yes, I want there to be load shedding. I mean, it is a double-edged sword, you know. I mean, it's kind of like the more we political cartoonists and satirists have to write about, the worse trouble the country is in. Generally, I think that's sort of a rule of thumb. You know? I think it would be nice to have a calmer, more normal country. I mean, people are people, politicians are politicians. Society is wacky as it is. So there's always something to write about. It's just the level of I guess, of crisis we're dealing with.
So taking,
and also, I think, sorry, just one point, you know, when you're saying the load shedding, I mean, that's the thing that sort of gets you down a little bit, is when you look back and 7 years ago, you were doing the exact same jokes because nothing has changed. I mean, that is just sheer depressing. It's not funny anymore.
No. You should do a retrospective and you know, put then and now, and nobody would believe you, because as you've just pointed out, it's the same crap, just a different day, basically.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I mean, you think about these kids graduating school who've never known, you know, a day, you know, a life without load shedding. I mean, how weird is that?
Scary.
You know?
When you put it in those terms. A friend of mine was flying back from Cape Town recently. It was a night flight, and you know that when the planes come into land at night, they turn off all the cabin lights for some reason, so they can't be. I don't know. So the passengers can't be seen to be screaming if it crashes. I don't know why they do it, but anyway, they do it. And as the lights went out, there was a little girl just sitting in front of my friend who went, load shedding. So that's their point of reference. The lights go out, it's load shedding. Doesn't matter where you are.
Absolutely, yeah. As
you've just pointed out, matriculates are going through this, never having not known it. But hopefully there will be a generation, I don't know, somewhere in the future in a dystopian lifestyle where there's nothing else, but there is electricity. It's no water, no food, but they've got electricity.
Something.
Anything. Rico, how do you and Stephen go about these annuals? Because you have such an enormous body of work. Does it become, oh, I want this one, no, I want that one, and then you have to have an argument about which cracks it into the new annual?
Not really. I think it contains about 90% of what we do in a year. I kind of, you know, there are a few that, you know, somebody has their heart set, oh, they really like this one. Some are so specific, or a joke that's quite specific to the moment, and you just, no, it doesn't make sense. You know, unless you write a little extra caption to explain it, you know, it doesn't make sense. So they get dropped, or you know, some of them are. Yeah. But generally, it is about 90%, 95% of the year is in there. So it is a little compilation of the, you know, 1 August from the previous year. So this is August 2022 to the end of August, September 2022 to the end of August 2023. So it's like a year.
Yeah. So how do you choose your opening and closing cartoons? Because And we're going to go through some of those cartoons, but now you start off the book, and I think it sets the tone with the S Comedy Club cartoon, and you, I mean, from there, people need to know that Eskom is going to feature very heavily in this book.
I mean, that was, I mean, sometimes just out of sheer, you know, because things are just depressing at times, you know. So kind of, I mean, the title, the subject, the blue light at the end of the tunnel, is a very serious, you know, the issue is very serious, and we found the cartoons we'd done about that, and so we're quite heavy and a bit of a downer. So we decided, okay, let's find something that's really light and fun and silly, and you can laugh at, and that's why I chose to open it with that one. And yeah, it's trying to get that balance, you know, even in the cover, you know, to get that slight, you know, Mother Anderson with the catty and that kind of, you know, just to get from the doom and gloom to get that little spark of humanity and hope and humor into it, and that kind of resilience.
Yeah. Just as an aside,
rebelliousness.
You posted a cartoon just the other day that included, if I'm not mistaken, a leaf. There was a leaf blower involved, and other. And I reposted that cartoon and said, "This is my worst nightmare." To which somebody responded, going, "No, worst nightmare would be to add Hardy-Dars to the mix." And then you'd come back 2 days later with another cartoon, and there was a mention of Hardy-Dars in that cartoon. It didn't feature as a drawing, but the word was mentioned.
Yes, I mean, that was actually just sheer coincidence, because we kind of work 2 or 3 days ahead sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, so that was just quite funny. That was kind of a theme of things that, you know, suburban noises that annoy you. You know.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, you can add to that all kinds of construction noises. There's a funny thing now. It's ever since COVID. I mean, sort of where I live, there's a very distinctive noise. Usually starts Friday late, early evening. Is a sound of you know, Mr. Delivery and Uber Foods delivery bikes zipping across through the suburbs. I mean, that's actually not an unpleasant sound, but it's just funny.
No,
it's just kind of like
fact,
the natural wildlife of suburbia.
Yeah, I just want to skip through these very quickly, because there you go. That's the cartoon I was looking for. And
I mean, I could have seen a gap in business for that. You know, going to get a little. I don't know if a little scooter can actually carry. You know how heavy those inverter batteries are. Little generators. You probably need more than a scooter.
They could use an electric car. You know.
Yes. But it was just funny, you know, that we get to the point, you know, where everything is delivered, you know, from your eats to your, I mean, the genius with the 60/60, the delivery. I mean, are we getting to the point where we're never going to leave the house?
Well, I was saying this to somebody just recently. Most people now have some sort of solar array at home to counteract the consistent lack of mains electricity. Many people have now put in water tanks, so that if the water system fails, they've got water backup. Some people have even put in boreholes, again, in case. And talking to a borehole specialist, he was telling me people are now putting in septic tanks because they're scared that the sewage is going to back up at the sewage farms. So it's easier to look after yourself. And as you say, with Uber Eats and Uber Electricity and 60/60 and all of those type of things, you literally can, you know, be a prepper in modern day society, and people don't even know you're prepping. You don't have to live in a bunker. You can live in your house and just never leave.
I mean, the irony is just so unbelievable, in a sense that you have a government and a party whose ideology is sort of a socialist state control of everything. And through sheer incompetence and corruption, they're privatizing everything. If you think about it, it's just amazing. I mean, it's like by clinging to, you know, and breaking everything. So people, and the people who can, you know,
Yeah.
we can be as you know, the few that are fortunate enough to be able to do it. You know, they do, and suddenly, you know, then you get the city and them council and them moaning that they're not making enough from electricity fees. Well, you're not selling us any electricity. What are you talking about?
I saw a headline just before we were chatting that the headline is, and I'm paraphrasing now, broke Johannesburg spends 2 million rand on jackets and gifts for end of year bash.
Priorities.
Well, this is it. You got to have a party. The party has to have a party. It's as simple as that. You can't be a party
Absolutely.
without a party. Now, of course, solar generation, love it or hate it, has popped up on roofs like mold on an old bathroom wall. And you sort of drive through the neighborhood, and where there used to be one, if we specifically at night, where there used to be a house lit because they had solar, now there are more lights on during load shedding than there are when they're not, because more homes are going this route. And I suppose you, as a satirist, pick up on that, and here we go. That he doesn't work at night, and we know this. It's a bit impossible.
This series with when they we're saying we're getting a minister of electricity, and then there's this whole series of these very silly interviews for candidates. I mean, that was just such fun to do. I mean, it was one of those where you're actually chuckling to yourself while you're drawing them. That whole sequence of cartoons, yes, and yeah, there we go.
There you go. But now you just said chuckling to yourself. Do you get to a point, Rico, where you sit down at your drawing board and you start drawing, and I'm not in the mood today. What can I, it's all doom and gloom around me, and then you find something like that Duracell battery, or the guy with the solar panel on his head, that pops into your head, and then does the rest flow easily?
Yes and no. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's just kind of, like you said, you're only humans. You have your off days. I mean, I guess that's what makes you a professional human satirist, or something that you have to produce all the time and kind of force your head into that position where you have to, I mean, working in a partnership helps because you can work off each other's ideas. When you're working just by yourself, it is a little bit more difficult. So the core of this idea was kind of like, we've got these Steve's idea, these silly candidates, come up with some ideas, and then all of them ran off that,
I also love the look on that light bulb's face. His eyes just tell the entire story, Rico.
That's sort of the trademark, that kind of world weary kind of look, kind of like. And note, he's not an energy saver bulb.
No. Here we go. Here's his interview for want of a. And I do notice that you used an ES Globe on this, because they keep changing. This is what I love about this country, is we have no money. The electricity grid is broken. But now, not only, and this is going to be grist for you and for Stephen, they want to change the 15 amp plugs. They want to use different ones. So everybody's got to toss out all of that. And then, just to make matters worse, they want to change their logo to the tune of 23 million rand, to come up with a new, more representative corporate logo and mission statement going forward. The mission statement is, we don't have anything to mission with. And the corporate logo should just be nothing, just a blank space.
Yeah, it should be black. It's the black square. I mean, that is kind of a South African illness. Is new plans, new this, new that, without fixing the basics. I mean, that's generally. We don't have public transport, but we want the high speed train to Mpumalanga. I mean, it's just.
But now I see, and it's something that you haven't touched on in the past year. SAA is in the dwang again, to the tune of, I don't know, a couple of more billion rand.
Oh yeah. I thought they weren't even operating. So how did they even? It's amazing. We're not flying. We're still spending money.
Somebody flew on them recently. I think they were paid to fly with them. It was the only passenger. You can sleep.
That explains everything.
Yeah. I know I'm going.
I'll make a note of that. See what.
Now, here, although you haven't branded this particular battery, it's very obvious what the battery is. And we all remember those little bunny ads, because I don't think the people are running around like bunnies at this particular entity at all. They're just relaxing with feet on desk going, well, either we'll fix it or we won't, and if we don't, we'll just throw more money at
Oh yeah, that's our money. That's
it.
the thing, because it's. I'd also if I'd also be sitting feet on my desk if taxpayers' money was funding my and off to an expensive lunch, and I mean that's essentially what it is. It's just there's a taxpayer funded parachute for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And
now, you see,
yes.
this I think sums it up so well. Time 4.7 seconds. I think this is who came up. This is genius, Rico. This really is, because I think this encapsulates in these panels. It encapsulates everything that our country is going through at the moment.
I think it was Steve's concept, and then I had to kind of work it out that it fits in the. I mean, these are reset because these are for actually run in Daily Maverick, so they're usually in a portrait format and then have to be reset to fit in the book's landscape format. Yeah, but just to to work out on the pacing and that, and yeah, no, it does. It's just sometimes. I mean, I love doing these kind of cartoons because it just go to because it's quite easy to do a kind of serious messaging that makes you want to slip your wrists. So for us to kind of just to find that really silly angle, and it makes it so outrageously silly and stupid, but it's actually to the point. It actually really sums it up. Yeah. And if anything, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
And I think here's another one that says it all, because this Lady R, nobody seemed like the Helderberg. It seems to have just disappeared off the face of the earth. But what it did was it did great things for the word "fokol." And people, I don't know, as far away as Denmark and Sweden and Scandinavia now know what the word "fokol" means, because it's just so evocative, such an evocative word, and it basically means nothing.
Yes, which is that's what we export these days, especially with Transnet shutting down the harbor. It's what we export "fokol." Yeah. And it's amazing how that kind of word, which is really quite a bad swear word, has sort of become generic and quite
Yeah, you can use it. You can use it in polite conversation even.
Absolutely. I mean, we funny stories, and I actually don't know which one they used when we sent this out. I sent two versions out. One was the polite version, which had replaced the K one with an asterisk. I mean, everybody knew exactly what the word meant, but it's kind of like if you don't want swearing in your cartoon strip. But I mean, generally, I don't think anybody really ever complained.
No, because at the end of the day, I think you've got another cartoon in the book, which replaces the word "shite" in a Christmas song, and you've included an asterisk there, and I don't know why we still do it, or even adults talking, they'll go, "Oh, I had to go sh1t." Why? We know what the word is. Use it. It's 2023. People are saying worse things.
Well, in the case of the cartoon strip, actually on purposely bleeping it out is actually a joke in itself.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a wink, wink. Well, we're all in on the joke, but we still do it. So it is, it is. I mean, we do all these things, most of these things on purpose.
Well, if years ago, I remember talking to Jerry Springer about the Jerry Springer show, and I said, there's an awful lot of bleeping on your show. Do people swear that much? And he said, no, go back and have a look. There's no swearing. He made a conscious choice to bleep arbitrary words out because it added, much like you've just said, like you've done it in your cartoons. He did it on television, and he said the feedback they got was unbelievable. And they were bleeping out nonsense words.
So somebody can read lips is probably sitting there going, "This is a load of bleep."
Yeah, that exactly. Here's this. I have to say that often your cartoons don't get me to chuckle. They get me to laugh out loud. They really and truly do. And this is one of those. It's just that last panel where they're all just sort of breaking the fourth wall and looking at the reader going, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that kind of thing makes it, that we're in on the joke. We know it's the stupidest line ever, but we're in on it. We know.
Because this is almost a dad joke of a cartoon.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. And this goes back. This is the first cartoon. Why in the book? Why is Eskom like
Yes.
a shaggy dog? Because they can't stop shedding. True enough, constantly and consistently. And that's the only constant we have in South Africa, is the fact that load shedding will occur, whether you want it or not.
Absolutely. I mean, it is like like you said, it's a constant. It's a kind of I mean, it gives us material. Although
Yeah.
you start running out of jokes. Like, God, how many load shedding jokes can we do? Apparently, a lot. But
Put it into Chat
it's just,
GPT, they'll give you jokes.
yeah, those are all just rehashes, and then somebody will sue
Yeah.
us because they stole it from somebody.
It would be interesting though, Rico, if you put sort of load shedding jokes into something like Chat GPT, and it came back with material that you've already written.
We actually tried that. A friend of Stephen's actually tried to sit in the early days when Chat GPT and says, yeah, no, write a Madam and Eve cartoon, you know.
Mm.
And it didn't work. I mean, I think some people have tried writing cartoons and humor with Chat GPT, and it doesn't actually work because it's not,
Yeah, I
you know,
seem
it's
to
just,
remember sending you a Calvin and Hobbes, but that was a fan tune. I
yeah, it
didn't
was a
know
fan
that.
tune, yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that there were people out there who because they love the cartoon so much, it's not so much plagiarism as an homage to the
Mm.
writers. And here we have our wind farm fellow. Bless him, love him or hate him. Down the road in the suburb that we live in, there is a lone one of these standing. I don't know if it produces enough electricity for one house, but the neighbors can't be very happy because they do make a sort of whoosh, whoosh, whoosh
Yes.
noise constantly.
No, they do. I mean, I was amazed. I was in Eastern Cape, and so I think it was near St. Francis. They have a very, very big wind farm. And you can drive, you can actually right up close to them. I just was astonished how big those things actually are. I mean,
Yeah.
that is, because you never really realize when you see them from a distance. They're massive, you know.
This cartoon, I think you said this is one of your favorites. And it took me a split second uh, when I saw this to put it together. And then also in the book, it's on page 65, if I remember correctly, because I've got it here. Yeah. And when I looked at it, I couldn't believe how it had gone, how it had grown. And then I realized it's three separate cartoons
Yes.
on one page. Bit confusing for elderly people like us.
I'm sorry.
Quite all right. Took me a moment or two. And then, of course, you had to. You can't not add Hardy Does. I'm amazed you haven't heard from their agents yet. Because, again, love them or hate them, I have a neighbor of mine has a breeding pair, or I don't know, breeding generation. We've been in our house almost 20 years. And for 20 years, these fledglings have landed in our garden, spent a couple of days here before taking off. But I did not realize that hardy does make incredibly bad parents because their
Oh,
chicks,
really?
yeah, the biggest cause of death amongst hardy does is babies falling out, either eggs being kicked out of the nest and then splattering on the ground, or chicks falling out when they're too young to fly, and then the parents just leave them. We'll make another
Oh,
one. I don't know. There's
oh,
maybe
that's sad.
it is. Maybe I've given you an idea for a cartoon. Maybe not.
No, that's but then the
Yeah.
fire breathing Hadida, I mean, that would be just the end all.
Yeah, they can be. What is that? Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's
Which I don't know why I was thinking now with all what's going on with the banks, there could be Game of Loans. If you go to your bank, see if they want to give you money, you could take that to the nth bloody degree. But with that in mind, when people who know you, or people maybe you're sitting having a coffee at your local coffee shop and people recognize you or think they recognize you, do they come up and go, "Oh, you're Rico from Madam and Eve. I've got the best idea for you. You've never thought of this, and then they give you something that you go, take a deep breath and go, thank you so very much. I will consider that. And you realize it's an idea that you turfed out years ago, because although it may sound funny, it isn't.
Yeah, that does actually happen. You know, to people say, oh, what about, you know, you could do this, you could do this. You know, yeah, I mean, you mean polite, and you kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, there are occasions where we do get, not generally it's not the actual idea. It's a germ for an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a cartoon in the book where the Halidas break into the house and rob.
Yes.
Actually, and this is based on somebody on social media saying, yes, he has a pair of Hardy dogs that actually come into the house and steal all the cat food, and actually brazenly walk into the kitchen and eat all the dog food and stuff. And he thought, like, oh, there we go. That's you know, not that, but that's a germ for an idea.
Yeah, for an idea. We're coming to the end of our chat, so I'm going to go outside of the box, because this cartoon is not in the book.
No, that's not a Madame Neve. No,
from yesterday, I think.
Yes,
and it's very post the book, but I think it just said it all. And I have to thank you for this, because now every time I hear deck your thing with boughs of holly, I'm going to be singing this in my head.
Yes. Well, that's not a Madame Neve cartoon. That's one I did actually for the Business Maverick, for Daily Maverick. Yeah, one of the editorial cartoons. Yes, and I kind of had to come with something really silly.
What can I say, Rico? It's from the pen of.
Yes, well, I mean, it's, as you say that. I mean, I wrote that yesterday morning actually, and then I was the whole bloody day I was walking around going da 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 da. And now you brought it up again. I guess what I'm doing for the whole of today.
They tell me that if you sing Amazing Grace, it gets rid of any other earworms that you may have had, or that you may except Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace,
yes, with you for the rest of the book. There's a blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's published by Jacob. Why is mine so blue and yours is not? Oh, because of the color of your light.
The weird light, yes.
Yeah. It's available now. It's published by Jacana. Available at all good bookstores.
All bookstores,
available, yes. Available at bookstores that are even not so good. But there you have to ask them. It's kept under the counter. It's one of those.
And online, and yes. Yeah, we should actually get them under the counter at all the petrol shops. You know, that could be an idea.
Would you like?
Yeah, and it's also available on. Yes, it's also available online and the usual Loot and all those places.
So everywhere. Now, I always end these sort of author interviews or author chats, Rico, with a question. Do you, when you walk into exclusive books, if your book is that way on a shelf, so they can only see the spine, do you then turn it this way so that people can see it? And if you do you stand there with the book in your hand going, oh, look, it's another Madam and Eve annual by Rico and Stephen. I wonder what it's like.
Now, I have done the book moving around, you know,
right.
Cover up all the Zapiro books with ours. I mean, we're both published by Jacana, so we sort of share the stands and things, you know. Yeah, no, I have done this kind of like moving it around surreptitiously. I haven't done the latter bit, you know, kind of.
Well, maybe it's something. It may be a Christmas exercise for you. Just go wander through the books. Put them in our places. Put it like under modern history or the art of literature or something like that, and see, and then take photographs. And you can publish them, you know, you can post them on social media yourself saying, my book has migrated. Look, it's grown up.
I'll put them in the top 10, you know, in that suggestion board. Just put a cover in.
Just fill the whole thing. 1 to 10 is all, it's all Stephen and Rico.
Guerrilla Marketing 101.
Yeah. Rico, thank you so very much for being a guest here on In Conversation With. It's always a lot of fun to chat with you. I hope the book does very well and make a great Christmas gift. And I've said this before, if people don't have family or friends they want to give a book or gift something to, buy it for yourself. You can, it's great toilet reading. You can sit there for hours while the water doesn't work, waiting for the lights to come back on, reading by torchlight and staying out of everybody else's way. The book, once again, there's a blue light at the end of the tunnel, published by Jacana. Rico, once again, thanks for joining me here on In Conversation With.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.